Episode 5, August 9th, 2016. Welcome to the Political Island Podcast with your host, Josh. I'm Josh, your host, where we only talk about the most important goings-on today in politics. Now, you may have noticed that my music is a little bit different, and that's thanks to my friend Brad Wiley, who's maybe the most liberal friend I have. In fact, I don't know anyone who hates Donald Trump's guts more, so shout out to you, Brad. I hope you enjoy that. But in all seriousness, Brad is maybe he is the most talented musician that I know, and especially one that I've ever got to work with. So, now I talk about all the things that Brad hates. No, but, Brad doesn't hate Pokemon Go, and is this really an episode if I don't talk about Pokemon Go? No, it's not. But we can talk about how the Iranians hate Pokemon Go, because this week, they banned it. They got rid of it today. Let's see, what's her name? Jessica Durando from the USA Today reporting today, actually, that the Iranian Ministry of Truth spokesperson Winston Smith... sorry, that's not right. Oh, sorry, my notes are old and dusty, like they're from 1984 or something like this. That's so weird. Abolazan Firuzabadi, who is the head of Iran's, Ministry of Culture and Islamic Guidance, has made a statement today, and I quote, "Any game that wants to operate nationwide in Iran needs to obtain permission from the Ministry of Culture and Islamic Guidance, and the Pokemon Go app has not yet requested such a permission," end quote. I feel like if I'm in a position at the Islamic Ministry of Truth, I'm going to be... There I go, Freudian slip again. At the Ministry of Islamic Guidance or whatever, I feel like it's not that hard to look at an application with little critters that fight each other and say, does this offend the sanctity and teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him? And just say yes or no. Like, you have to be like, no, you didn't ask me first, okay? No, you just, I don't know. I feel like that may be the easiest job in the world, next to being a weatherman in Texas, where you can be wrong every single time and still keep your job. Like, just, yes, battle critters are bad and offend our religion, or no, they're just fine and have nothing to do with the religion, but I guess that's too much to ask. But then I also have to remember that Pokemon Go has yet to make it to countries like China, India, and even South Korea, of all places, which is kind of crazy to me. And, China and India together have, 2.4 billion people, like a third of the world's population, and they don't have access to it. Not to mention, China doesn't even have Facebook. They banned Facebook after 2009 when some, I think it was Xinjiang kind of... independent movement, and they shut down Facebook, and so now they use Ren, which is a social network that China that is in compliance with China's data collecting policy. So also it's trading on the New York Stock Exchange at $1.81 per share. So if you're in the market for purchasing some fascist Maoist kind of company, I feel like that'd probably be the first place you want to go. So just know that New York Stock Exchange trading at $1.81. You heard it first here. Now, let's get on to the good meat, talking about Donald Trump. But before I talk about Donald Trump, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I didn't really talk about the Democratic National Convention. I kind of took a week hiatus there. And that's because nothing interesting happened at the Democratic National Convention. The entire idea behind it was to get the Bernie supporters to not, burn down and pitchfork the entire get-together. You had Debbie Wasserman Schultz being outed, which was, great and predictable. And then you had her join Clinton's team, and the Bernie supporters kind of flamed out, where their revolution died at the Democratic National Convention. Now, that isn't ironic. The Democratic National Convention the Bernie Bro party was over. So, and I don't know. I can't. If I'm Wasserman Schultz, who was the chairman of the Democratic National Convention, I want you to imagine being in charge of a party, of a major political U.S. party, and you have the guy who is an independent. He caucuses with the Democrats. Gets money from, works with the DNC and Democrats on a lot of things. Is a Democratic Socialist senator from Vermont. And if you have him coming in, surging in, and he's like, oh, I'm a Democrat now, and jumping into your party, stuff that you've planned for the last 4 years, he's not going to be well received. Now, I'm not saying that the Democratic National Convention or National Committee should have been working against him, but you can't ignore the sentiment behind it. How are you surprised that you jump in the party at the last moment? It's like the old fable of the ant and the grasshopper, where the ant slaves away year-round. The grasshopper just jumps around, plays some music, gets some people, riled up, and is just happy-go-lucky while the ant slaves away. And then the rain comes, and the grasshopper wants some shelter, and the ants are like, well, where were you all fall and winter? So there's that. Okay, so on to Trump, like I was talking about. Today he made a speech, an economic policy speech, where he sounded like a Republican. It was bizarre. He kind of shrugged off. There's a little bit of the populist influence in there, but overall his entire speech today, he sounded like it could have been Jeb Bush giving the speech. It could have been Marco Rubio giving the speech. It could have been John Kasich giving the speech. It just couldn't have been Ted Cruz giving the speech. For instance, today he proposed a tax of 15% for all businesses, which is, I think, 35% is where we are now, so that's a giant tax decrease. That's what he's going to aim for, but he's going to work it down. Let's see, he also talked about intellectual property rights, strengthening those, which is a very Republican thing. He wants to merge 7 tax brackets into 3 tax brackets, which, makes the tax system more simple. I guess less jobs for IRS folks and lawyers, but, for the rest of us, we don't get screwed nearly as hard. And something to feed the populist side of it, and honestly something that I'm fine with, and I'd like. He's going to call for the elimination of a special tax treatment for the carried interest income at private equity firms and other investment firms. So he's going to stop tax breaks, or at least curtail them at places that are designed to hedge funds and make money, whether the American economy does great or does badly, which is something that apparently Hillary is doing as well. And let me make myself clear. I'm getting my news today from Kevin Cirilli at Bloomberg Politics. I apologize for not saying that sooner. That's where I'm reading from. Trump also talked about taking a break on new financial regulations until he sees the economy go up, which the less that government adds new and less that the legislature does, the better I am with it. I mean, yeah, let's see. We just keep piling on, and we don't know what the effects are, and just waiting to see if it goes up. So I think that's good. He's still opposing the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which his opponent has, she helped write and put together and has been back and forth on. She's flip-flopped. Oh, man, I hadn't said flip-flop since 2004 with Bush and Kerry. Anyway, she's been flip-flopping on whether it was a good deal, saying it was the gold standard, and then saying she didn't like it, and she kind of backed herself into a corner there on the deal that was made with all of the nations that are part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Anyway, he did a good job. He was poised. Someone else wrote a speech, clearly, and said keep to script, and he did, which is a good thing. And he needed this. Last week, that was something I didn't talk about the Democratic National Convention. That was a big deal. There was the father who had a son who was Muslim, one of 14 Muslims killed in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. I guess they had to look hard for him, but they wheeled him out there, and he was out there lambasting Trump. The father was, while the mom just kind of sat there quietly behind him, and he took the bait. He took it hard. Like, those are the two things about the DNC. It was Bernie's revolution didn't survive, and father of son lost in Iraq goes up there and blasts Trump, and Trump took the bait. He talked about him, said some things about him, and they got him. I mean, that's the thing. You don't talk about dead soldiers' parents. You don't go against them. The Democrats knew that. That's why they found one of the 14 sets of parents in the United States that could come up there and talk badly about Trump and have no qualms about it. But again, that showed his volatility, that showed his pettiness. I think he lacks the ability to kind of really be above it for a lot of things, and I think that might be something he's learning. Good Lord, I sure hope it is, because when you get people, you get people in the old Eastern Bloc being ugly to you. You get people in the Far East who are going to be probably petty and ugly to you. You know, I hope he learns. I hope someone's giving him some kind of reprogramming or retraining on how to the new art of the deal, or do your art of the deal crap while you're have the nation's best interest in mind and don't stoop to their damn level. However, in some interesting Texas news, okay, let's do a little family tree work here. Okay, George Prescott Bush is the current commissioner of the Land Office of Texas. Now, George P. Bush is the son of Jeb Bush, as you may remember, as the quintessential dad from politics that ran and had a ferocious fight with Donald Trump, had more money than anyone else in the race, but his butt handed to him. Anyway, so Jeb Bush, his brother, is former President George W. Bush, and their father is former President George H.W. Bush. So, George P. Bush, who is the Texas Land Commissioner, just won his position 2 years ago. And after his dad got his butt beat, today I'm reading on CNN Politics by David Mark, posted earlier today, or that is August 8th, and how George P. Bush has come out to endorse Donald Trump. Now, it's not exactly a full-hearted, Donald Trump is great, but it was more along the party lines. He wants the Republican Party. We need to get behind him and push him forward. That's been what he's doing. And don't fault him for it. There is something deep in the Bush family blood that makes them they are a family of public servants. They have that is who they are. They put country first and they put party next. I mean, that is who they are. And George P. Bush, now you watch out for him. He's young. He's sharp. He was also a lawyer in Fort Worth for a good long while. Worked around the corner from where I used to work downtown. And he's up and coming. He's going to be big in the party. And he started at the ground level, which I don't know if any of the other Bushes have done. I think Jeb was Commerce Secretary, but he was appointed. But he's on his way up. But he came out today kind of striking a new position and making his face known around Texas that he's going to be around here. But I say this so that y'all don't judge George P. I think he's doing what his blood is telling him to. He supports the party, which is more we can say for the other Bushes. I think they're old and they probably don't care anymore. And that's where they are. But George P. Bush is clearly going to be the new torch holder for the family. George W. Bush's daughters haven't got too involved in politics yet. And Barbara may one day, but George P. Bush is leading the way. So I've got about a minute left, and I'm going to talk about something real quick about the wage gap, the gender wage gap. Just real quick, it's not real. Well, it is real, but it's not as real as people think that it's real. The number that you hear, whether it's 80 cents on the dollar or 76 cents on the dollar, actually has to do with median incomes for men and women. So that is to say, if you took all the men in the United States and lined all their wages together, and the guy in the very middle, that's the number. And if you took all the women in the United States and you lined them all their salaries up together, the person in the very middle, that is their salary. That is their wage. So, but when you're talking about comparing let's say a school teacher, who got a 4-year degree and is 10 years into her career, isn't getting paid differently than the guy who is at the same school with the same degree with the same amount of time. It doesn't happen. It's not happening, and it is a fun stat to throw out there because they want to sound like that pushes their agenda. But the fact is that the gap is only somewhere around 6 cents, which, mind you, is a problem. That part is not right. Should we need to uncover what that is, where that 6 cent wage gap is, whether it has to do with the time off from the maternity leave that's granted to them, or if there are some other factors. But that is the gap that we do need to close. It is not 20 cents. I'm not making $100,000 and someone with the same amount of experience as me is making $76,000. That's just horse crap. So next time you hear that, listen for them to say the median wage, because it's not the same as you're comparing apples and oranges. You're not comparing the same job to the same person. I guess that's enough talking about that. So, thank you for listening to Political Island Podcast. You can download on iTunes. You can download on Google Play. Send me a message if you got any thoughts, if it's gotten worse, which I'm pretty sure it has. If there's something you want me to talk about that I think or that I can find in the news and talk about, don't hesitate to message me. I think I just got beat down by a slow news cycle, and I'll be ripping and raring again here soon, especially if stuff comes on in the media that I'm just outraged by. I'm going to be right here and talking in front of the microphone, talking to you about things that you don't even want to hear. So, until then, I will talk to you soon. This has been Political Island Podcast. Aloha.